Don't use any of these commands if you're not sure what they do, and in fact I recommend that you go over to Vermaden's FreeBSD blog and his power saving article to get a full rundown of everything I'm doing in this. Okay, I've recently acquired a nice HP EliteBook 8440p and I'm going to install FreeBSD on it. Here's a quick look at the specs of the machine. Right, first, a simplified install. And I'm not going to go into the full installation. You can watch one of my other videos for that. Say, for instance, when I installed FreeBSD on VirtualBox. And there's the usual boot menu of the live disk. But I go through the usual things. I know I should have turned the camera to the side. But, you know, in this installation I've chosen to use ZFS and also to encrypt boot, or the hard drive. So I'll just, at this moment, I'm installing KDE. It's a very large collection, and I'm not going to show it all, but I'll just do almost the end. There you go. And a little bit further. On this machine, maybe I could have put a lighter desktop on, or even a desktop, or even a window manager. But I like KDE, and I wanted to show that it can run the node and stuff. One thing I found interesting is the chipset for the Wi-Fi worked wonderfully and was detected first time by FreeBSD, so this kind of complements the previous video I've done, so very nice. Now all of these steps you don't have to do, it's something that I like to do, and first, I always like to set the schedule into a more desktop-orientated setting. By default, it's set for server, a nice balance, and that's usually 80. So in this case, I want to set it to 224, which will make the desktop more responsive. And to make it permanent, so next time we start the machine, I'm just going to add it to syscontrol.conf. There you go. So it will be there next time we restart the machine. I'm also going to add VFS user mount, so I can mount some drives and read max equals 128. We'll speed up the hard drive a little bit. And we're also going to disable the core dumps, which can be a little bit irritating. And also turning off the beep. And this is for compatibility. Say, for instance, I want to use Chrome. This can get a little bit weird. We're just going to add these two tweaks. This is recommended by the install of KDE, where it says that Akonadi, I don't like saying that, Kmail and Contact use large messages on the local machine. The default size in FreeBSD is too small, which causes local connection problems. But these are just extra tweaks that I like to do. Some of these are power saving tweaks. So I want to refer to Vermaden, who has a wonderful, wonderful website and blog where he goes through all the various techniques you can to install a FreeBSD desktop and save power on laptops. Absolutely wonderful. I'm going to leave a link down in the description box. What this guy doesn't know about FreeBSD isn't worth knowing. First, we're going to load a kernel module, a CPI video. Right, the first one we're going to try is to control the brightness of the laptop screen. Now, I don't know if this is going to work, and I'm just typing it as I see it. This should lower the brightness, so therefore saving energy in some respects. If I try it first without any value, then it should tell me if it's working on the system, which it doesn't come up with anything, so that doesn't look too good. I'll try 50, and operation not supported by device. So on this particular laptop, I can't dim the screen from FreeBSD itself. It may work on yours, it may not. Next, if you want to find out information about your battery in your laptop, which is quite important to let you know the status, so ACPI conf-I0 will tell you about the first battery in your machine. If you've got a secondary battery, you can change the 0 to 1. I don't have a secondary battery, so... Although it says... it's very odd. It says secondary there, but I've only got one battery in this machine. Yeah, okay. At the moment, I'm running it on battery, so it says discharging. I do apologise about my voice. I think my throat is going so. I think over the time of this video, it's going to progressively get deeper and deeper. Right. It tells you almost third from the bottom, it tells you remaining time. So on this particular instance, it's got 1 hour and 36 minutes of charge left. If you want to find out that information just on its own, if you type in HWACPI battery time, it will give you in minutes, which is 95 minutes. Well, would have been 96, but 95 minutes. Which is pretty cool. So it gives you a nice, quick, concise estimation of the time left on your battery. It does vary, of course, depending on the things that you're doing. So if you're doing graphic intensive or anything that makes the processor move a lot, that time is going to be shortened. But that's a pretty good way of just giving an estimation of just how long you got left. For a little bit of more information about your battery, if you just put HWACPI battery, there, it will just tell you some information regarding your battery. And while it's important to know about your battery, it's also not important to know about your CPU. So the next command will show you all the supporting features that your CPU has. And from this we can actually see a lot of useful information, like what states it supports, power saving features, your frequency, the top speed it will reach, without overclocking of course, and various other little things like that. And it's these particular information that we can use to sort of like build a little bit of power saving, just to squeeze a bit more out of the battery that we've just looked at. And while this is useful as well, if we just load in a kernel module, core temp, it will allow us to actually get a little bit more information. This time, the information shows us everything from the temperature to the maximum temperature it supports, also I think the ideal temperature that you should be aiming for. Just clear this. Next, we can try a command just to get the temperature on its own, very much like the battery to get the time remaining on its own. This one will just give you the temperature. And this one will tell you the supported C states, which in this case is C1, C2 and C3. And if you want some information about the C states used, there we go. To find out which is your CPU maximum C state enabled, and it's C8. Right, the next command we're going to use will show the supported frequencies and the power usage of that frequency. So the first number we'll look at is the 2667/25,000. Now we could look at that as 2.7 gigahertz frequency, and the numbers after the / is the power consumption, and it would be 25 watts. And the lowest that supported frequency is 1.2 gigahertz with 9.9 or 10 watts. And to find out what's the current frequency, just issue this command, and it tells us at the moment we're on 2667. So we're on the highest. And along with this, you can find out your current thermal zone, and that's 0.1. Seems a bit low, but I don't know. I'm learning this as I go along. I've not really dabbled much in installing FreeBSD in laptops. I've not a lot of experience how to certainly do power saving, and any laptops that I've used previously have always been connected to the mains. So really I'm learning this as well. This is why I'm checking out his wonderful blog. So yeah, I don't know whether it should be 0.1 because I'm looking on his blog and it was 49.1 on his, so I don't know. To check out how many cores you have, we'll try this command. I know in the system there's 4 cores. Oh, it hasn't come up with anything. Oh well, we'll move on to the next one. But I know it's got 4 cores. It's an Intel i5 first generation 4 cores. Right, just going back to C states, I'm going to see what's supported by the CPU again. Okay, C1, C2, C3. And because it's 4-core, I'm just going to follow his advice and just going to enter some settings into the syscontrol.conf file. And that should hopefully, like I said, I have not much experience with this, is going to hopefully, when not needed, idle them so you save a little bit of power. I edited the syscontrol.conf file and entered some settings to make the little bit power saving on the unused or idling cores, as it were. So for the first core, I've used the C1, and for the remaining 3, I use C3. Right, going back to the frequency levels, so given that this present system I'm using now is using 2667 as its top frequency, if I wanted to use a turbo mode, or a turbo boost as it were, I could enter it there. Which it doesn't. So we're stuck at 2667. I just thought I'd put that in because I was going to mention it earlier, but I forgot. Right. Another way that we can save power is by shutting off or powering down or enabling power saving on unused or spare USB devices. Now on this, at the very bottom is the HP webcam in the laptop. Now it's not used all the time, if at all. I mean, I prefer to use the webcam on my main workstation, but if I'm not using it, it says the power is on. Might as well just power save it. Now, a lot of USB devices do have power saving features. All the rest on here, the USBs and the keyboard, they all have nice power save enabled. So if you want to do that on the webcam or any other device attached, as you can see, it says power on. If you want to put it into power saving mode, now I don't know how much it'll save on this, but we can try. That the power parameter can either be on, off, or in save. So we don't want to switch it off. You could switch it off, but we want to put it into save mode. So using USB config, we can see that it's under UGen 0.3. So to put it into save mode, use USB config again, -U, and you put the 0 because that's the group that it's in, and A would be 3 because that's also its ID. And power _save to switch it into save mode. And again, if we list it, now it's under save. I don't know if it's looking at that 98. I don't suppose I can. Maybe we haven't saved any power, but you get the gist for other devices that perhaps you might want to save power on. That's actually pretty cool. That's a really nice feature. To better save, put it into power saving mode. If you want to make that more permanent, so when you start the machine up, you can put it into rc.local. So if we just edit the rc.local file and put USB config and 0 and then -A for 3 and just power save. So next time you start the machine up, it'll automatically be in power saving. Or switched off if that's what you want. So a quick reboot. I'm just going to reboot the system. And we're back in. Right, just to check that the power saving took on reboot. So USB config. And there it is, look. Power save. So that's a nice little feature. I do like that. Like I say, the one in the brackets after it says 98, so I don't know if it actually saved anything, but we can try. Another way we can save power is to tell FreeBSD not to power on any devices that don't have any attached drivers. Now, that sounds really interesting. If you use the following command to see its present status, and it'll be 0. Now, 0 is all devices are left fully powered, and that's your default. The next one is 1, where it's powers down most devices, except storage controllers. So the next one will be 2, where everything except display, memory and peripherals are not powered down. Remember what else is left after you're not closing them. And number 3 would to be power down all PCI devices without a driver. So I'm going to set this one to 3, so I don't want anything running that hasn't got an attached device driver. Again, to make it permanent so it survives a boot, I'll put it into the loader.conf. To check which devices are in your system and which drivers are attached to it, you do see PCI conf. So on the left hand side, if there are any devices without any drivers attached to them, you'll actually see it as none 0 or none 1 or none 2. So those devices without a driver, given the previous command we've just done, won't be powered on. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 devices there. And if you want to see any more details about the particular devices, you can do PCI conf -L-V and it will give you more information. And if you're curious about the sleep states that are supported by your hardware, if you supported sleep states, it will give you S3, S4 and S5. I'm not going to, there are commands that you can use, which are on Vermaden's blog, which will test or change your suspend or your sleep rate. I'm not going to do that because I'll lose the recording. One thing I didn't know, which I learnt from his blog, which is brilliant, is that there are specific ACPI dedicated kernel modules for the hardware. So there are Asus, Fujitsu, HP, IBM, Panasonic, Sony, Toshiba. You can load in specific kernel modules to interact with ACPI, which is brilliant. So in this case, now it will tell you there what's supported on your hardware, and I'm looking at the IBM one, and there's a lot there supported for volume, LCD brightness, etc. Even hotkeys. Yeah, you don't get this on this one, so there's not a lot for me to change. So yeah, but on yours, of course, yours might be different. You can even change the fan speed on the IBM one. Oh well. Another way that we can save power is by turning off the Wi-Fi if you're not using it. So if, or put into power save at least. So if config WLAN 0 power save, if it's supported, we'll put it into power saving mode, which is kind of handy. I'm just going to test out installing PowerMon as well, because that's recommended on his site. And it suggested I load in the CPU control, CPU CTL kernel module. And it will, I think by all accounts, it will actually give you a running live view of your current system's power consumption. I'll just load that module. PowerMon. CPU is not supported. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. The one I'm using is an Intel Core i5 first gen, so maybe it's too old. Oh well, never mind. Now, next I'm going to try and some graphic card power saving. So following his instructions, or his guidance really. And it's for integrated graphics card which this laptop uses. So I'm following this and skip unnecessary mode sets at boot time, use semaphores for entering sync, enable power saving render C states, enable power saving display C states, and enable frame buffer compression for power savings. Now, I don't know if these will work, and you really shouldn't blindly enter commands like this, but I think it'll be okay. So yeah, here's the CPU running. And I'm going to try gotta love the shaky cam. I'm going to try putting it into suspend. Is it suspend? No, it's not sleep, is it? Suspend. Closing the lid. You can tell I'm not used to using laptops. And got a nice little glowing light. and open it back up again. We'll see if it works. Because that's been, some subscribers have said that it's an issue with them, that they can't get the laptop to suspend and wake up from sleep or whatever it is. Press the power once, and it should resume. That looks good. Yeah, there we are. Look at that. Brilliant. So back just as we were. Works brilliantly on a FreeBSD laptop. Just one more time, look at these gorgeous stickers. Say what you want, but FreeBSD works brilliant on this. Right, this was an unusual one for me. I was kind of stabbing the dark, as it was, or going down his blog to implement some of the power saving techniques. I've never really considered it before, but it kind of makes sense if you're using battery. Your mileage might vary, of course, and if you have any success, then please let me know what laptop you're using and whether or not any of the techniques that Vermaden mentions on his site actually work for you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.